This is Ram's new 1500 RHO, and it's a couple of parts good news story mixed in with one small bit of disappointment. In the end, this is kind of a bittersweet truck. And I'll start with the bitter part, and it does get sweeter as we go on. What's sad here is that the old Hemis are out. They've started calling all of the V8s, so no more Challengers, no more Chargers, no Demons, no Trackhawks, no TRXs. That old Hemi that powered the Ram TRX was a 6.2 liter supercharged V8, and it made a very healthy 702 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque, making the 6,500 pound four-wheel drive TRX such a hoot to drive. It was such a powerful unit, but more importantly, it had a very distinct supercharger whine, and every time you stomped on the gas pedal, that sound will just instantly improve your mood. And now the Hemis are out and the Hurricane hops in, and it's the new power plant being used in the 1500s, and you'll see it trickle through all of the Stellantis models as well. And this is an inline-six 3-liter engine with twin turbochargers, and this high output version is making 540 horsepower and 521 pound-feet of torque. I mean, take a look at this thing. It still needs a lot of air. This is the air intake. 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds. That's about a half a second slower than the discontinued TRX. And the inline-six twin turbo just doesn't have that same orchestra as a supercharged V8. Now, with the bitter part out of the way, here's the first dose of sweetness. The RHO is cheaper. Now, 3 years ago, you could buy a Ram TRX for $75,000 stripped out, and the model that I tested was $92,000. This Ram RHO, this is a 2025 model year. It starts at $70,000, and this model that I'm testing is $85,515. Now, this should also be cheaper to run because the fuel economy has improved, obviously, right? You've gone down on displacement and also on cylinder numbers. So this should be about 14 miles in the city, 16 miles on the highway, and 15 miles per gallon combined, whereas the thirstier supercharged V8 was 10 miles in the city, 14 miles on the highway, and 12 miles per gallon combined. And if you use the truck mostly as a fast musical instrument, it is so easy to get into the single digits with the TRX. Now here's a bit more sweetness. All of that hardware that made the TRX a turnkey Baja racer, that's still here in the RHO. So you get 35-inch off-road tires, you get 11.8 inches of ground clearance, there's 13 inches of front suspension travel for the front axle, and 14 inches for the rear suspension travel. That's because this thing has the Bilstein Blackhawk E2 shock system, and that's filled with the nitrogen gas in the remote reservoir. So basically, it allows for a lot of suspension travel, and it has sensors and a control algorithm in it so that it could sort of detect if you've jumped this thing, and it can adjust damping as necessary. And it turns out when you have off-road ready shocks, that also makes for some great on-road comfort. This RHO is a really smooth daily driver, and it's very comfortable. And I'm going to venture a guess that most of these RHOs is probably not going to see the desert at all, and you're going to see a lot of those on the road. Now, when it comes to the exterior design, it is pretty much the same, which is great because the TRX was such a good looking truck. The wide fenders for the extra wide track makes the RHO look pretty muscular. The hood has proper muscle car presentation with bulges and vents, and it makes the RHO stand apart from the rest of the 1500s. You also get these clearance lights because this is a wide vehicle, so it's required by law for any vehicles over 80 inches wide. The RHO, just like the TRX, is 88 inches wide. From the side, this comes equipped with 18-inch wheels. This also has running boards on it, and this one also has the optional RHO graphics. And then at the rear, we've got the 5'7" box with this crew cab setup. This also has a powered lift gate setup so that you can lower or raise the tailgate with a single press of a button. There's also the added step here, and this one has the optional bed utility group, so you get the spray-in bed liner, the exterior 115-volt outlet, and also the cargo tie-down hooks that are adjustable. Inside, the RHO is just filled with a lot of tech, and this is one of the ways where where the RHO is improved over the TRX. First, you get the hands-free driving system. So if you're driving on the highway on some registered roads where Stellantis keeps some sort of a database and it's a trusted road, you can actually do some hands-free driving when you have your cruise control engaged. It's a pretty good system, but you do have to keep your eyes on the road, and there are sensors to keep track of your face to make sure that you're behaving. And there's also a lot of screens in this car. First, you have your digital driver display, and then there's a heads-up display so you can keep your eyes on the road. Then this thing is a 14.4-inch touchscreen that has the Uconnect 5 system. There's also a digital rear view mirror. And then over here we have another screen for the passenger that also has some sort of a privacy filter on it so that the driver can't see what they're watching, but it's really from a safety perspective. So you can actually control the navigation, the music, various things, and there's also an HDMI connection for that screen. As for the infotainment system, this is pretty complex. There's a lot of features in here. It is a little bit slow upon startup, but once you have it going, it's actually not too bad at all. And this also has the 360-degree camera view. This is a very large truck, as evidenced by the amber lights. So if you're parking in the city, this is going to be super helpful, or when you are rock crawling or just off-roading, this will provide some extra visibility. And there's also some auxiliary camera connections if you have something attached like aftermarket cameras that you want to mount anywhere else. And when it comes to the comfort, this thing is just packed with a lot of stuff. First, you have heated steering wheel, and then there's also massaging front seats, and you also get heated and ventilated seats, but not just for the front seats, for the second row as well. As for the second row, it is just very massive. You get 45.2 inches of rear legroom. There's also 39.8 inches of rear headroom. And then here are your buttons for the heated seats and also ventilated rear seats. And there's 4 USB ports back here and a 115-volt outlet. There are a lot of USB ports in here, 4 in the back, 6 in the front. That's just too many USB ports. I also like that the rear seat does fold up traditionally, so that if you're transporting something large like a big screen TV maybe, you could fit that in here. And one more thing, the rear window does open. Now, as for the driving experience, while it doesn't have the same power as the TRX, the RHO is still a pretty fast truck. 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds. The handling is also very good. You get that full-time four-wheel drive, so there's a lot of traction on the road. And then the Bilstein dampers work great on and off-road as well. You get so many different driving modes in this truck. There's sport, tow, snow, auto, custom, mud, sand, rock, and Baja. And there's also a electronically locking rear diff so that if you're in a rut, you could quickly press this button and engage it. And of course, just like the old TRX or the Trackhawk, in those non-off-roading situations, you do have this launch control button for the fast 0 to 60 times. As for the ride quality, it is really good. Like I mentioned earlier, this is a comfortable daily driver. And again, there's also some driving assistance systems on board to make your long drives just a bit less exhausting. The best part of the RHO is that you get about 90 to 95% of the performance of the Ram TRX, but at a much cheaper price. You do miss out on the greatness of the supercharged V8 of the TRX, but you do get improved gas mileage in this thing. Although not so much better, because compared to average consumer car miles per gallon, this thing is still pretty sad. But if you could afford this truck, chances are you're not going to be worried too much about the cost of gas. I want to thank you guys so much for watching all the way up to this point. If you want to watch the Ram TRX review, it's linked over here. Again, thank you for watching. My name's Hanson, and I will see you in the next one.